Hey, what up, everybody? Stevie Breach coming to you. Today we're going to be talking all about SummerSlam 2014. This is going to be an awesome show. Honestly, 8 matches have been announced. 7 of these matches I really care about. These are going to be really good matches that have been pushed to the moon. Of course, when you have a main event of John Cena going up against Brock Lesnar, there's no looking back from there. Anything else on that card is almost going to be pushed like a UFC show where, basically most of the people that buy UFC shows are just buying it for the main event anyways. But the undercard, the mid-card, everything on here is really great. I can honestly say that there's only one match on this show that, to me, would be missable. I'm not really going to care about it, even though I don't care about it. I got to hope that both of these guys are going to go out there and try everything they can to really make this show better. And, they might be in this death spot according to me, but, maybe they get in a spot where they go on after one of the Divas matches, maybe they go on in the very beginning, and maybe they'll be able to find something to get the show started, get everybody on their feet and get everybody talking about the match from here on out. SummerSlam is going to be held in Los Angeles. I believe it'll be the 6th year in a row that's going to be there. Luckily for me, it'll be my 5th consecutive SummerSlam. I was not able to go to SummerSlam 2009. Pretty cool to be able to say that, you really own a pay-per-view and you've been to 5 of them in a row. I know that everybody goes to Mania, and that's that's a huge mountain to climb to even get to go to one Mania. But to be able to say that I've been to 5 SummerSlams in a row, I'm going to pat myself on the back, and that's awesome. I just watched SummerSlam 2009, the first SummerSlam that was in Los Angeles a few weeks ago, and honestly, that's one that I was sad that I missed. Of course, DX was one of the featured attractions with a match against Legacy. You had Jeff Hardy and CM Punk in the main event in the TLC match. That was an awesome show. Thumbs up all around to that one. I'm upset that I missed it. I was not at the level of fandemonium that I'm at now in 2009, so probably even if I really knew it was going to be there, and I was really up on where shows were, honestly in 2009 I was watching Raw and SmackDown each week, but I honestly don't even think I was aware that it was held in SummerSlam. I do guess I sort of remember Monday Night Raw being held in Las Vegas and DX coming out there and saying that it cost a lot of money to take the tank from LA to Las Vegas, and that's the reason why they didn't come out on the tank 2 nights in a row. But good stuff, But let's just get down to the nitty gritty. Before I get to that, there's no Access this year. That's kind of a bummer, but I'm still going to have a ton of fun. Of course, it'll be me and Freaking Yeah 88 sitting in section 102, row 1. And then a lot of our buddies are coming from Sacramento alone. My buddy Victor, my buddy Mario, we're all flying down on the same flight. We'll be there all Sunday. The Lorenzo brothers are flying in from the East Coast. My buddy Paul is going to be flying. I guess he's flying. I haven't asked him, but that's the way I would do it. He's going to be going down from the Bay Area. He'll be there, and a lot of people that I'm friends with down in the LA area are always going to be there, of course. So be on the lookout for them. Of course, there is no Access this year. With no Access, they started up the gimmick of doing the SummerSlam panels. So I got a ticket on Sunday. I'm going to be meeting Stone Cold Steve Austin for the first time. Miguel's going to be going with me. He's going to be meeting Stone Cold Steve Austin for the second time. If you go back to those WrestleMania videos, of course, I flew into the New Orleans airport, and all my friends were there to pick me up, and I missed Stone Cold Steve Austin by about 15 minutes. So that was a bummer, thumbs down, but, you got to cheer on your friends and say, damn, that was a once-in-a-lifetime sort of deal in order to meet Austin. This is one of his first sort of signings with WWE, and it's not really even a signing because he gave you a pre-done autograph, but, a first-down meet and greet with Austin in a long time. It seems that he's really taking on a new sort of role with WWE. He's going to be hosting the video game launch, which is going to be held on Saturday, doing the panel on Sunday, and, it's going to be one hell of a ride going down there to SummerSlam. Like I said, John Cena going up against Brock Lesnar in the main events. How can you go wrong? Of course, Brie Bella and Stephanie McMahon is treated like a main event right now. We're going to get the first meetings of Dean Ambrose going up against Seth Rollins. That should be really, really fun. Randy Orton versus Roman Reigns. They're gonna just go out there and basically try to kill each other. AJ versus Paige should be a great wrestling match. And then also you got Dolph Ziggler going for the Intercontinental Championship against The Miz. Oh, the flag match! My boy Jack Swagger. Everybody knows how long I've been with Jack, and that's gonna be a great. Fun thing to see these guys just beat the hell out of each other. Flag match going up against Rusev. Jack Swagger being on the first SummerSlam that I'm going to be at in Los Angeles, and actually being a featured match that a lot of people are talking about. A lot of people have jumped on the Jack Swagger bandwagon. Everybody's basically waving the American flag for this guy, cheering him on. I really wish it would have happened a lot sooner, but that's SummerSlam 2014 in a nutshell. From here on out, for the next little bits, I'm going to be going over each match in an own separate video, and we'll put them all together for the full show preview, and we'll get that up from there. So thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you guys checked out this video as well as the ones that come along from here on out, and have a good day. Alright everybody, as I've been going back over the past SummerSlams, putting up reviews and watching the old shows on the WWE Network, I've been noticing that a lot of times with the Intercontinental Championship matches, they were the matches that really went out there, where the guys really went out there to steal the show. One of the best SummerSlam matches of all time, SummerSlam 1991, Bret the Hitman Hart going up against Mr. Perfect. There's been a lot of comparisons over Dolph Ziggler's career, over guys that really he compares to, or guys that he watched, that styles his craft after. Mr. Perfect is one of those guys. Badass Billy Gunn is another one of those guys. Easily, in my mind, The Miz versus Dolph Ziggler could easily be a match that really goes out there and really steals the show. I could easily see these guys ducking back, and before they walk out through the curtain, just grabbing each other and say, this is the one, this is the one that's going to make both of us into big stars. There's no secret that both of these guys want to climb back up to the top of the mountain. Of course, The Miz main eventing WrestleMania 27 against John Cena. Dolph Ziggler, of course, cashing in his Money in the Bank briefcase, winning the World Heavyweight Championship from Alberto Del Rio the night after WrestleMania on Monday Night Raw. So both of these guys have had a good bit of climbing the mountain, and both of these guys have been kicked down. You can easily look at both of these guys being in the Battle Royal that Cesaro won at WrestleMania 30, WrestleMania 29, with Miz being on the pre-show match against Wade Barrett for the Intercontinental Championship, and then you got Dolph Ziggler was in there in a tag match with Big E going after the tag titles against Team Hell No. So, both of these guys have been up, both of these guys have been down, and both of them want to get back to where they go from. This feud that they have going on right now seems to me a good one. I mean, they really want it's basically about that title is your key to moving forward. There is no briefcase in play because Seth Rollins has it after winning it Money in the Bank. But, back in the day, the Intercontinental title was your key to moving forward. So many people, they would held that Intercontinental Championship, and if they had a good reign, you knew that Vince was putting the green light on them to get, to the top. Diesel, Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, so many of these guys in that era, that was the stepping stone to see if you had what it takes in order to get there. Both of these guys have a lot of fans. Both of these guys have a lot of people that hate them. So, it's kind of funny. But if you go back to Battleground is where this all started, of course, with the awesome Battle Royal that was won by The Miz. The Miz, who's now got this Hollywood gimmick where he's wearing the sunglasses a lot like, Johnny Cage? Is that who it was? In the Mortal Kombat video game, where he was too cool for school, but once he got in there, he was able to kick some ass. That seems to be the gimmick that he's going with right now. Even though he did stealing a little bit of Tyler Breeze with the whole "don't hit me in the face" kind of deal from NXT. But Dolph Ziggler was in there getting the work done in the Battle Royal, right? The Miz, he hightailed it to the outside. He hid over by where the announce table was. He got into the match a few times, but twice during this match, he ducked out to the outside, letting everybody do all the work, much like the Royal Rumble with the Bulldog, where the Bulldog thought he had won. He was announced and his music played only for Shawn Michaels to slip in, push him over the top and take the victory. They had a match on Monday Night Raw the night after Battleground. It was a non-title match, for Dolph Ziggler to get out his aggressions on basically having the Battleground Intercontinental Championship stolen from him. And that match was won by a daring move by Dolph Ziggler, where he was able to pull it out. Because of that, The Miz came down and interfered in one of Dolph Ziggler's matches on SmackDown against Alberto Del Rio. The match really didn't mean anything. They tried to play it up like they had a rivalry because of the cash-in back at WrestleMania 29. They were trying to trade wins back and forth, but Del Rio's not really going anywhere. Del Rio didn't go anywhere because of the win with Ziggler. It was still all about Ziggler getting screwed out of the match by The Miz. But basically, that's got us to the point right now where they're going to be going after the championship. But, this is SummerSlam. This is the biggest party of the summer. This is the $9.99 wrestling bonanza. So, basically, I see both of these guys throwing everything out the window and just, going forward. I think Dolph Ziggler does that every time, no matter if he's wrestling on SmackDown, Monday Night Raw, or pay-per-view. But this could be the building block to something bigger for both of these guys. Both of these guys that want to move forward, so I can easily see this is one of the matches that I'm really pumped about going down to SummerSlam for. Because it doesn't matter if they're in the opening match, doesn't matter if they're in the second to last match, or if they just stick them right there in the middle. I think everybody knows when these guys get in there, they're going to put on a wrestling match that we're going to be talking about for a good amount of time that isn't going to be one of those stinkers in the middle of the card. So I'm looking forward. If you have to give me my prediction in this match, I'm going to take Miz, taking the Intercontinental Championship in this one, hopefully prolonging this feud to going into Night of Champions, and hopefully so on and so on, because I'll see Miz versus Ziggler wrestler all day, every day. This is going to be good. Bray Wyatt versus Chris Jericho at SummerSlam 2014 honestly is the one stinker of a match on the card. It was one of those people that was really surprised by Chris Jericho coming back. But by him coming back and basically Bray Wyatt interrupting Chris Jericho and inserting himself into a feud, I didn't really understand what was going on. I was very vocal during the whole John Cena feud that I was hoping that Bray Wyatt would get the win at WrestleMania, and that by him not getting it, I didn't know really what they were going to be doing with Bray Wyatt from here on out. I heard one of the best sort of stories on why WWE asked Chris Jericho to come back and why they asked him to put him in a feud with Bray Wyatt was that basically, for a good matter of the John Cena feud, the fans themselves were turning Bray Wyatt heel. WWE can go either way with Bray, but they really see him as a long-term heel for the company. And, if they put him in there against any nonchalant sort of guy, the fans who like Bray Wyatt are going to win over the crowds to cheer for this guy. Now, WWE knew that sitting on the sidelines was Chris Jericho, and they called Chris Jericho to bring him back for the one reason is it doesn't matter if Chris Jericho is trying to be the most dastardly heel on the roster, or if he's trying to be the biggest babyface on the whole deal, is that the crowd is going to cheer Chris Jericho. He's always going to get a pop every time he comes out. People are always going to be, on their seat during all of his matches. That is why they brought him back. If that's true, I don't know. I heard it on a wrestling podcast, and it made sense, and it clicked with me, so I said, hey, it sounds good enough to mention in one of my videos. Now, what we've seen is that in all these, Chris Jericho matches, that the Wyatts interfere, and Jericho is one of those guys, is he's going to fight if he has to fight, and he's taking the fight to 3 guys, and he's not big enough or bad enough in order to fight off 3 guys. If it's one-on-one, Jericho has a chance to win. As we saw, and we're all surprised at Battleground, is when Jericho, picked up the win against Bray Wyatt. I thought he was going to be booked much like Rob Van Dam, where he just couldn't get a win to save his life. I even said that Van Dam would probably, be in the back complaining to Triple H and Vince about, what they're doing with him and where they're going. And here, because of an injury, we haven't seen Rob Van Dam wrestle since Battleground. So I'm crossing my fingers that Rob didn't see my video, and now he is, putting in his formal complaint and pulling a CM Punk and going home. But I think there's people that's actually going to take me serious in what I just said. But because of the matches on Monday Night Raw and on SmackDown, Chris Jericho was able to defeat Luke Harper and Eric Rowan in singles matches, and now due to that, it is going to be a singles match. Luke Harper and Eric Rowan are going to be banned from being at ringside. They're not going to be able to run down and try and interfere in this match. Basically, it's just going to be one-on-one and all hands out from here. Chris Jericho has said that he wouldn't be surprised if holograms appear in the ring and Luke Harper and Eric Rowan still try and fight off Chris Jericho from beating Bray Wyatt. But honestly, when it comes down to it, this feud has bored me most because I don't understand Bray Wyatt. He sits back and he has these long promos, and in each promo he will say something in the right tone of voice that makes everybody get creeped out, or get somebody to cheer for him, like "Save us, Chris Jericho," and I don't get it. It just I don't know. Like, he just talks for a long time in that one voice, and I'm trying to figure it out. I'm trying to figure out if maybe he's speaking in riddles. Is he speaking where you're supposed to try to decipher a code in what's going on? But he's a guy that just doesn't click with me. He came in with a whole bunch of fanfare. He was in that awesome match of the Ring of Fire match against Kane last year, and to me, since then, it just really hasn't gone down the right path. We've seen him do battles with CM Punk and Daniel Bryan, and of course the fights with The Shield was really good, but those were just awesome real wrestling matches. They didn't have a whole bunch of storyline. There was just two groups of 3 guys in there that were going to go in there and they were going to beat the holy hell out of each other and see where all the chips fell from there. Of course, the Wyatts got the better of The Shield in those matches, and I think everybody is hoping for a Shield reunion and for the Wyatts to stay intact someday to see more of those matches, because we didn't get a real big one. Slap these guys in the Elimination Chamber itself and see what happens. Throw them in a steel cage and beat the hell out of each other like a war game style of match. I think that's what they were looking for with these Wyatts, when they were really going strong and they were beating the hell out of each other. But honestly, I think that this is probably going to be a 3-match series. Hopefully, Bray Wyatt will get the win in this one to even it out. He said that he was at Battleground. He lost the match, but he's looking to win the war over a period of time, and losing the one match isn't the end of the world for him. So here we go from here. Bray Wyatt for the win, and I'm hoping for something. I'm not sure what we'll get, but I'm hoping for something good. All right, here we go. This is going to be the good one. We're going to start this off right. We, the people. Jack Swagger going up against Rusev in a flag match. Honestly, a few videos ago, talking about this, I said that I didn't know what a WWE flag match was. I remember seeing one back in the day before the Attitude Era. I believe it was the Patriot going up against Bret the Hitman Hart, and I went through a couple different scenarios, what I thought a flag match could be. Basically, this is just a wrestling match featuring capture the flag style of rules. In each corner, in each respected corner is going to be the American flag, and I guess the Russian flag, or isn't he Bulgarian or something like that? So, be his, red, white, and blue flag himself. Of course, it's not going to be the flag with the stars and bars on it that Jack Swagger and Zeb Coulter are going to be defending. But what an awesome ride we've been on. Rusev, who's been in the WWE since getting the call up from NXT, basically he still is, I guess you could say, undefeated. He hasn't lost a match due to pinfall or submission, but Jack Swagger, very surprisingly, is the first guy to get any kind of a win, even though it was via disqualification over the Russian superstar. And, Jack is a real big surprise to me for a long time. Easily. 2010, I've been saying, just turn Jack Swagger babyface and see what's going to happen. He's an American guy, and he's an all-American wrestler. If you base his character on his wrestling ability and you throw in the red, white, and blue in there, he might not be the most entertaining wrestler, but he is going to be one guy that is easy for people to cheer. Hacksaw Jim Duggan, the Hall of Famer, he got by with this for a long time, and I'm not expecting, Jack Swagger to be carrying around the American flag from here on out, or Jack Swagger to be carrying a 2x4. Ho! USA, tough guy! I'm not looking for him to do anything like that, but easily just, bring back the red, white, and blue sort of WrestleMania 26 attire, or just have the, he likes to wear the singlet that has the colored sides. Just make the black singlet with red, white, and blue trimmings. covering up both the sides. And I'm sure people will be able to connect the scenarios. He's been the All-American since, getting the call up from FCW into NXT. Even though that was sort of used in a heel gimmick, I think that definitely it could help him to get the crowd behind him. Definitely something that I don't think a lot of people would be thinking, that here we are, 2014, and Jack Swagger is one of the most cheered and the guy getting the biggest pops of anything that's going on out there. But basically, all you have to do in this match is just basically beat your opponent down to the point that you can climb up to the top turnbuckle and grab the flag. And once you're able to remove it from the pole, you are going to be the winner. And that's just basically just going to be it. And Jack Swagger, I think, is the guy that easily could win this flag match. For the one reason I said that, Rusev hasn't lost a match due to pinfall or submission. The big, 6'7" hoss, that is Jack Swagger, could be the guy who really does, put a feather in his cap to go on a good little babyface run by being the first American to dethrone the Russian. It brings you back into the past when you had guys like, who were some Russians? I just had them on the top of my head. The Bolsheviks were some back in the day. That was a bad tag team. Nikolai Volkov, of course, turning babyface and tag teaming with Hacksaw Jim Duggan, which led to the Sergeant Slaughter turn, where he thought that any country that would sympathize with the Russians and cheer for Nikolai Volkov made him leave the country and go over and start being an Iraqi sympathizer, and basically going on and taking the championship from Ultimate Warrior, moving to the biggest WrestleMania 7 held there in Los Angeles, with the red, white, and blue going there. Of course, everybody going crazy with the Operation Desert Storm. Vince McMahon picked the right time to pull that card and go to it from there. But Jack Swagger is a babyface, easily could have a good run in the WWE and a good push from here. We'll have to see where they go from this on Monday. They've sort of done the same sort of deal with Swagger and Rusev every time they've got in the ring. We've seen the debates between Lana and Zeb, which just basically lead to Swagger and Rusev pushing each other around. But Battleground was one hell of a match, and Swagger got the loss due to countout. But he definitely was taking the fight to Rusev, one of the guys that came the closest to pulling out the victory. And I'm just glad that one of Triple H's NXT superstars really is in a match that people really care about. He's thrown a lot of guys up there. I guess the Shield have really made it strong, but Biggie Langston had the Intercontinental Championship run, and he's sort of hanging out in the woods with nothing really going on right now. That New Nation looks like it might be starting up. We saw Mark Henry make his return. That, I think, in my opinion, that can only lead to him joining up, because that squash match against Damian Sandow, that honestly didn't really mean much. But I mean, Chick just got caught, with the whole Walmart deal, and she's sort of on the back burner right now with Paige and AJ. And then you got Adam Rose. He's got really nothing going on right now. That didn't really work out the way it was supposed to. And damn, I can't really think of any other NXT guys since basically Triple H have taken over that have been up right now. But, Rusev, one of those guys that's coming close. Definitely I can see him moving on down the line and being one of those guys who challenges for the WWE Championship against a guy like John Cena, then building up this as a big match with maybe Cena trying to take down the Russian himself. We've seen a lot of guys get built up only to fall to Cena in the past. Gene Sinski, Umaga, lots of guys like that. So I think the future is bright for Rusev. But this is definitely going to be one match that I'm going to be cheering for my Section 102 at SummerSlam. It's going to be a good one. I'm going to pick Swagger in this. I'm honestly, I know I'm going to be cheering for him. I really want to be behind him. And I think if Rusev loses a flag match, I think it'd be good for him to be able to say he's not undefeated. Much like Bo Dallas finally got the loss with R-Truth beating him on Monday Night Raw. That's one of the hardest things to do to a guy. I mean, you don't really want to build somebody up like Goldberg. I mean, it's hard to say you don't want to build somebody up like Goldberg, but the one hardest thing about Goldberg is he never got a loss when he was first coming up. And that's one of the reasons why he got so hot. But once he gets so hot, then you got to figure out who the hell's going to beat him. How are you going to do it? When do you do it? And, how do you capitalize on that? And then that sort of gives you Then you're double thinking everything you're doing, and that sort of hurts your whole show to deal with. But Swagger for the win. Go Team USA. I'll do one more. We, the people. If this match is not one of the match of the nights, at the end of SummerSlam 2014, easily it's going to be one of the biggest disappointments for me. When I looked over WWE Battleground 2014, Paige versus AJ was one of the biggest disappointments I had of the card. Honestly, when I looked at it as, this was going to be the rubber match for these girls, of course, Paige made her debut on Monday Night Raw the night after WrestleMania. She snuck up and she beat AJ. AJ took it light on her, and Paige was able to pull the victory out of nowhere. And then, of course, once AJ made her return to the WWE after her months off, where she was healing an injury, she was able to defeat Paige, and everybody sort of got set off in a new attitude. AJ was the loved girl that everybody wanted to cheer, and, Paige was sort of sent in this direction where, she was trying to be best friends with AJ, but now she's doing all these dastardly things to her. AJ's up on the matter. She's 2 wins to 1 up on Paige, and everybody's been talking about Paige coming up at NXT for a long time as being one of the best girls they had down there with the rest that could wrestle. Of course, you've also got Emma. Once these girls got called up, that's when it was basically going to be the Divas division coming out there. If you go back to the Divas division, maybe 2008, 2009, you really had girls out there like Mickie James, Maurice, that could wrestle. And, they would every once in a while surprise you on a Monday Night Raw or SmackDown and show up with a match of the night. And you're like, wow, the divas out there were really shining. And it's been a long time for so long here. We've had girls that could wrestle sporadically. But a lot of times, it's these supermodel Barbie girl types like Kelly who, have tried real hard for a long time but never really able to get down, what they were trying to do, and they just sort of got pushed out there and said, just go out there and be pretty. It doesn't really matter what comes out of there. There's some people out there thinking that maybe, the WWE should just cut the Diva division in all. That was one thing that I heard Court Bauer talking about, trying to solve the money issues with WWE, just basically saying that they got so many girls on the payroll. They might sell some posters, they might sell a calendar here or there, but basically their TV numbers don't lie. People don't really watch the Divas matches that much. People don't really watch the things that Divas do, and they might go on the internet, they might look at their pictures, that they definitely don't buy t-shirts. AJ Lee is sort of like the one sort of she's a little bit different than everybody. She's able to sell some merch. I don't want them to scale down to the point where basically it was like in the 90s where they had Medusa and, I guess she'd be Alundra Blaze. And they would have the one wrestler that she would fight for a year, and then of course they would replace her and bring somebody else in, and just basically only have 2 girls wrestle on the house shows and the pay-per-views, and you just got sick of that feud pretty much. I mean, maybe a few girls, but they have like 1,000. In developmental, on the main roster, so many girls that you don't even really realize, what they're doing until the fact that they're on your TV, much like Rosa Mendez was on television on SmackDown last week. But I don't know. I want to see these girls go in there. I want to see them beat the holy hell out of each other. They got a good story behind them right now. They've got the whole, sort of best friends, frenemies storyline out of the way. I guess Paige still is delusional, thinking that they're best friends, but after the match on SmackDown, where she snuck up behind and she attacked AJ by basically pushing her off the stage, and she took the hard fall where they had to send the stretcher out, they had to put the neck brace on her, pick her up and take her out of the show. Definitely these girls should be fighting. And I know the Paige on Twitter is trying to downplay the whole thing, trying to say that people were overreacting and that AJ and her are still friends, and that she was only looking out for AJ's best interest. I don't know. I didn't see any speeding Mack trucks that were going to drive up and hit her on that stage. So I don't know why she took her out. But definitely Paige wants that Divas Championship, even though it looks horrible. I mean, there's no way to get around it. That Divas title. I saw pictures online today about the new WWE Championship, and I wasn't really that crazy about that. But you can't keep that title when they're changing the logo at SummerSlam, so I don't know when that deal is coming, but hopefully they have plans out there for a new Divas belt. I bet they've sold more than they thought they were going to sell, and maybe rebranding the Divas division, getting it a new belt, but maybe start selling that belt a little bit more, and maybe they push some numbers. I don't know a whole bunch of people that run out and buy the Divas title, but I see a lot when I go to Access and things like that. When people meet AJ or Paige or people like that, they always get that thing signed. But there's belt heads. They'll buy them. I know it. But AJ versus Paige. I'm going to take Paige in this one. Hopefully she'll even the score up. Maybe this will be like a best of 7. Maybe we'll get to see him battle it out in the Hell in the Cell. I know they've done Divas Steel Cage matches before, but I don't think they've ever seen a Divas Hell in the Cell match, and that'd be a first one that I'd like to see. I doubt they would do it. But I'll take Paige for the win here. Hopefully she'll even this out, and hopefully she'll walk out with the Divas Championship held high above her head, vagina butterfly style. This one should be a barn burner. This should be the one that definitely you guys should be tuning into the WWE Network. This is the one you should be calling up your local cable company and doing whatever you have to do to get this show. I know that they plugged it 1,000 times, but this match to me honestly should be worth $9.99. Dean Ambrose going up against Seth Rollins. I'd be lying if I was let's just go through the whole story. Basically, with the breakup at the Shield, it was supposed to be built up as the first time you saw these guys go at it one-on-one after seeing them fight it out in the Money in the Bank, where that whole story was Dean Ambrose's whole spot in that match was just basically to make sure that Seth Rollins didn't win, and basically after being taken out with the chair and basically just ripping his shoulder apart, Seth Rollins was still able to pull out the victory. Dean Ambrose turned his attentions to where if Seth Rollins was going to have the Money in the Bank briefcase, he was going to do everything to make sure that he wasn't able to cash in that thing. He was going to make sure that Seth Rollins wasn't going to leave the Shield and then go on and become Triple H's new WWE champion as the whole Plan B went along. At Battleground, Triple H had made it known that he was going to make sure Seth Rollins cashed in that briefcase and won. If the plan didn't come into effect, neither Kane or Randy Orton won the Fatal 4-Way. Basically, they had a match that was supposed to go down. Dean Ambrose attacked Seth Rollins in the back, and because of this, Triple H was so disgusted that he used this as sort of a reason to throw him out of the arena. And for there, we saw Dean Ambrose sneak up and attack Seth Rollins twice. After that fact, once, when he actually got into the arena, got all the way down to the ring, and started a brawl down there for him to only be thrown out again, and Seth Rollins to be leaving the arena, even though he was Plan B, even though the fact that, maybe things wouldn't go down and either Roman Reigns or John Cena was going to win the championship, Seth Rollins was going to be leaving, which doesn't really make sense with the plan that's going down. But he was attacked again in the parking lot by Dean Ambrose before he finally got into his rental car, sped off and left us. And I remember at that point feeling sort of let down, like, damn it, this was going to be an awesome match and we don't get it. And then almost I was like, damn, if it didn't happen on Battleground, it's going to happen for me now at SummerSlam. And I'm happy that I get to see it for the first time. But now that it's been a month down the road, I feel bad for the people at Battleground. I'm sure that a lot of people went to that show hoping to get a good one, and there was one of the featured matches not even really happening. I know that they got to see the brawl down there at ringside, but it's not the same as getting a match. And now they did the whole Beat the Clock challenge on Monday Night Raw that backfired on the Authority once again. We're now Dean Ambrose gets to pick what the stipulation of this match is going to be, and on SmackDown this week, he's going to pick that it's going to be a lumberjack match. And honestly, in my opinion, that's one of the weakest stipulations that he could have picked. I know that it makes sense with the storyline, basically, that Ambrose wants to make sure Seth Rollins can't run away from him for a third time, and that basically the match that's going to happen, it's going to be there. But the only thing I can think of from here is, like, that's some in-your-house bullshit from back in the 90s. I know that you guys with the WWE Network have been going back and watching those old shows. And, that's a Monday Night Raw main event, putting the guys around the ring. But I'm hoping that what they're not going to do is have Triple H sort of say that the Authority is going to be the lumberjacks on the outside of the ring. That, Dean Ambrose got to name what the stipulation was going to be. But from here on out, it's up to the game to put those guys out there. And then you get to see Kane, Randy Orton, all of the heels of superstars and Monday Night Raw and SmackDown that aren't used on this show, and hopefully we will get to see some baby faces out there to support the match. Maybe even put this one on first in a hot spot, and then maybe you can turn it into Ziggler and Miz having almost a match on the outside, fighting out before they get kicked to the back, and sort of send fire down the card on everybody being out there and they're really fighting each other. But then again, you might take away from the match that's actually going on inside the ring. If you go back in time, even though it's in a different place, TNA, this match sort of is falling apart, not falling apart, that was bad save words, but basically, if you go to the breakup of Beer Money, basically Robert Roode won the Bound for Glory series. He wasn't able to win the title from Kurt Angle on the first episode of Impact after Bound for Glory. James Storm stepped up to the plate. He won the TNA Championship in a championship match. In his first act as champion, he let his tag team partner have a chance at the title because they were friends and he wanted to be a fighting champion. Robert Roode grabbed a beer bottle, cracked him upside the head, and James Storm lost the title, and we didn't get to see him have a rematch for months and months. And I know that this has only been a month that it's sort of put on the back burner, and we've seen Ambrose try to attack Rollins. We've seen, Triple H send Ambrose on a trip, promoting the company, promoting SummerSlam, basically to the point of, he wouldn't be on Monday Night Raw, and then we would be able to see Seth Rollins in action or have a chance to maybe cash that thing in because his job pulled him away from being at the arena that night. But, I'm hoping that it hasn't cooled off. Basically, the Shield was one of the biggest things in WWE for their whole stretch. They always seemed to be in that main event spot. They never really fell off from where they were. They were always those people that no matter who the champion was, you were always thinking they were going to be somewhere involved in what they were doing. And one of their babyface runs, where they went up against Evolution, was one of the best things they ever did. So they really did end on a high note when they broke up. It was one of those really things that everybody was looking forward to seeing it happen. But then when it happened, whoa! We didn't want that, but these guys are gonna duke it out. Even if it is a lumberjack match, I can see that maybe I'd pick Seth Rollins to get the win in this match. Maybe you go to Night of Champions and you have Ambrose get a win there, and then hopefully it all pays off in the end with these guys getting in the Hell in the Cell. I know that last year they only used the Cell for the main event match, but this definitely is one of those matches with everything with the Shield behind it. It definitely could put Rollins. It definitely could put Ambrose in the right direction for where they're going. Ambrose having the Money in the Bank briefcase, I don't see him as one of those guys that's going to fail at cashing it in. Of course, the last 2 years we've seen John Cena and we've seen Drew McIntyre, Sandow. We've seen Damian Sandow not being able to cash that thing in. So I think they want that briefcase to be one of the hottest things. I definitely see them using that later on in the year, November, December, when WWE starts to dip down, and that's one thing they can do to sort of spike up what's going on with them teasing that deal. So definitely I'm thinking that it's going to be around for a good amount of time. So I'm going to take Rollins to win this match, but definitely to me in my mind, even though this is a lumberjack match, I want to see some fighting, boy. Let's get this on, the Battle of the Shield. The Spear versus the RKO. This is going to be a barn burner. This is going to be two guys beating the hell out of each other. We're going to see spears. We're going to see RKOs. We're going to see fists flying. I'm not really looking forward to seeing a real wrestling match from Roman Reigns versus Randy Orton. This storyline basically comes down to these two bad dudes want to know who is the baddest, because both of them thought they were going to be the guy that Triple H named the #1 contender to go after John Cena in the WWE Championship. Of course, Randy Orton sort of interrupted Triple H, and he got his music played, and he was already making his way down to the ring. And as it did, Triple H, you could see in his eyes, was warming up to the fact, you know what, Randy Orton's my boy. He's from Legacy. He is Evolution is what I meant to say, but he was in Legacy also, so I didn't get that wrong. But basically, he's his boy from Evolution. He's the main boy of the Authority. He's been the champion before, and if anybody's going to go in there against John Cena, he's got the best track record of getting the job done. There's so many times that since they've been doing the Authority storyline that Randy Orton hasn't been able to step up at the plate and deliver. But Cena versus Orton one-on-one is a match we've seen 1,000 times. And at least the last time they went at it one-on-one at TLC, Orton was able to get the job done, and Orton was able to become the unified champion. And it matters, who's on the show, who's going to be the first unified champion. If Jericho's around, they don't really say it that much, but I'm sure the second Jericho leaves, they'll be back to calling Randy Orton the unified champion of the world. But these are two guys that have a long history of not liking each other. Basically, they've never really been on the same side of the tracks. You go back to WrestleMania 29, we saw these guys involved in the six-man tag, The Shield, going up against the team of Orton, Big Show, and Sheamus, which basically saw Team WWE trying to be the guys who really... I think at that point, The Shield hadn't lost a match yet, because we really hadn't seen the rise of Daniel Bryan, and Daniel Bryan getting the first pinfall on The Shield was great. But the one thing I'm really taking away from this match is that, for the first time, we've seen Roman Reigns get his ass kicked. When you went back to The Shield, their whole run, basically, if The Shield did lose a match along their run, it was never Roman Reigns. Nobody ever really took it to Roman. You never really saw him laid out and out of a match. He was always the one guy fighting for the comeback. I think that, once he did lose a match, it was in some sort of a... the first time Roman Reigns got pinned, in my mind, I think it was in one of the gauntlet-style matches, where elimination style, where Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose were out of there. Roman had fought off... he had eliminated two of the guys. I can't even remember who they were fighting against. But he was able to fight off two of the guys, but he wasn't able to beat the third. If you can remember what that match was, let me know. I want to say it was Survivor Series, since it was sort of like that elimination-style match, but I can't really remember. But, but on Monday, when Orton came and he jumped Reigns, it was the first time we really got to see anybody put a beating on Reigns and lay him down. So many people have said that he's the guy that they're going to push up to the top of the card sooner than later. Some people have Brock Lesnar winning the main event of this show and holding the championship somehow all the way until WrestleMania, and then the guy who's going to win the Rumble to take him on is going to be Roman. And Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar is going to be the fire starter of Roman Reigns' career, where it's just basically going to be sink or swim. Two big guys going at it. There's some people who are really still holding out to see if The Rock is going to be around, but everybody wants to remember everybody's first championship run. Guys getting to win the championship for the first time at WrestleMania is always a big deal, and if Roman gets that chance, definitely he's going to be one of those guys that you can't go wrong with. It's just, for me, if somebody wins a title at WrestleMania, it's sort of like, where do you go from here? And, the second run's never going to be as big as the first one, because he won the belt at WrestleMania. That's the one you're always going to remember. For me, when I think of guys, Daniel Bryan winning the championship at WrestleMania 30, I know that he had won it twice before. And, SummerSlam he got cashed in on. I believe it was Night of Champions. He got it stripped the next night. But winning it at WrestleMania was the biggest one. Brock beat The Rock at SummerSlam 2002. That is a very memorable match, a very memorable pay-per-view. But it's Brock winning the championship at WrestleMania 19 against Kurt Angle. That's the one that I remember. Basically him, against his biggest competitor, his biggest rival, I guess you can say, at that point of his career. The one guy that everybody thought of as a dream match, too. Real collegiate style. I guess you can say Olympic, but I don't think Brock was ever in Olympic trials or anything like that. Wrestlers. And, get to see a real wrestling match going on, even though the Brock wanted to climb the top rope and do the land on his face. But definitely Roman versus Randy, I think it's going to be just throw the rule book out the window. They're going to hit each other with everything. Wouldn't be surprised if somebody goes through one of the tables on the outside and just beat the holy hell of each other. I'll take Roman for the win. I want to pick Randy for some reason, but I just don't like Randy. I don't like you. I'm not picking you. Roman Reigns, you're the winner. Oh, man, I had a good video going right there, and I got a text message, and it blew me up. But this match, honestly, in my mind, is the one match on the card that I care more about than anything else. I mean, it's definitely hard to say when you got Brock Lesnar and John Cena going up at it in the main event. But basically, with them not being on Monday Night Raw in the last few weeks, to me, it sort of feels like a UFC show, where you're just supposed to buy the show for the main event and that's it. But to me, the undercard here, Brie Bella and Stephanie McMahon, it doesn't matter to me if it's hidden in the middle of the show or if it's stuck in the death spot before Brock and Cena. It's going to be the one match that I'm just like, I am ready for a fight and I'm going to see it right here. Of course, this all stems back to Daniel Bryan winning the championship at WrestleMania 30. Basically, from there, Daniel Bryan he got hurt. He had to go in for surgery. Because of the surgery, they didn't know a timeline of when he was going to return. They were trying to think of some sort of a storyline they could do to keep him on the outside till he was healthy. So basically, at Payback, they didn't know what was going down with Daniel, and so they invited him to the show. The Authority was really pressing on him to hand over the championship so they'd be able to have a champion on their shows and not take it away. Daniel didn't want to give it up, so basically Stephanie said that he either gives the championship over or Brie Bella was going to be fired and lose her dream job of wrestling for the WWE. Brie stepped up to the plate, slapped Stephanie right across the face, and told her that I quit. So Daniel was able to have the championship, and they were able to hopefully get him to Money in the Bank before they found out that he had the nerve damage, and he was going to have another surgery on his elbow, and they just ended up stripping him of the championship on TV, and that was like, well, what do you do with this match? Because basically it was on the table out there on the rumor wire where everybody was seeing Stephanie versus Brie. I didn't really know if it was going to happen. Stephanie hasn't, been the greatest wrestler when she is in the ring, but she is a very great, entertainer when she is involved on TV. Some people seem to say that she has, changed the channel heat, or she comes on TV, you just change the channel because you don't want to listen to her screech. Honestly, she took a long leave of absence from the WWE where she was still working behind, but she wasn't on camera. To me, honestly, in this role of the Authority, I think she's retooled her stuff. She knows what works, she knows what doesn't work, and she's on TV enough to the point of where we hate her, but we don't want to change the channel when she comes out. So basically, I think this is the match that people really wanted to see. It was just a matter of how they were able to do it. And we saw, Nikki getting bullied by the Authority around every turn. It didn't matter if she was in a match. Basically, everyone would turn against her, or the deck was just stacked against her. Even she was sent out to be a special guest referee, and she got jumped by both of the girls that were in there, and the girls just left her laying there in the middle of the ring, like the match didn't even matter. But basically, Brie showed up. She got slapped by Stephanie. Stephanie got arrested and spent the night in the pokey in Miami. And Brie came back and she demanded her job back in order to drop the charges where Stephanie wouldn't have to go down and face criminal charges of assault and battery 777, for what she did on Monday Night Raw, and from there, she demanded, as well as getting her job back, she wanted a match. Stephanie, she started to cry there in the center of the ring. It looked like she didn't want any part of this, and then basically the princess stepped up to the plate through the tears, slapped Brie across the face, sending her outside of the ring, and it just started an all-out brawl. If this is going to be a one-on-one affair, I think that easily it's going to be a good one. It's going to be one of those ECW cat fights, both of these girls on the ground pulling hair, twirling around on the floor, and just basically, all rules out the window. Let's see how this gets done. Honestly, I don't think that's the way it's going to play out. We didn't get to see Triple H lay his hands on Nikki or Brie, but he did shove a table into her, which pinned her up against the corner, where Stephanie would be able to hit the pedigree on Monday Night Raw against Nikki, only for Brie to try to step up to the plate and defend her honor by getting her hands on Stephanie, for Stephanie to ram her head into the table. And from there, basically, it's on like Donkey Kong. Basically hit the pedigree herself, with both Bellas, basically looking up at the lights, knocked out from her husband's finishing move. Basically, Stephanie, to me, is the what was their fucking nickname? I've been trying to think of it for like 2 minutes now. The Ruthless Princess or something like that. But basically, I don't know. It's going to be all rules out the window. We've seen her have matches in the past where she was a Divas champion. And as she did that, basically it was Tori from DX. Break it down. Defending her honor all the time, stepping up into the match. We've seen her fight against... I guess it's the $1 Billion Princess. We saw her have a match against Vince McMahon. I think that was back in 2003. I think that was her last match. Basically, with that, it wasn't good, but I think that was the last time she was in the ring. I think that we've even seen her in the ring against Brock Lesnar on SmackDown, if my memory comes to bad. But I don't think that's really going to turn up the play. I think in this match, I'm going to take Stephanie. I think the Authority is going to stick his big nose into that match somehow to make sure that his wife comes out on top. People have been saying that maybe we're going to see some sort of a heel turn from Nikki. We saw when Stephanie McMahon was doing the talk The promo, basically, she was talking to Brie, but she was also talking to Nikki, who had her side, basically saying how selfish Brie was by showing up to the matches, making sure that she was going to get the spotlight. And maybe some people are saying that Nikki is going to be the one that joined the Authority. To me, if Nikki turns on her sister, it goes against everything the McMahons have always done against. Of course, we have seen Hardy Boys have matches against each other, but typically when you look back into the past, if one of the guys was getting the spotlight, normally Matt would sort of be pushed to the back where he was on the shows, but he wasn't being on there because people wouldn't understand Vince McMahon's train of thought. Why is there one Hardy Boy there and not the other one? Why are they not a team if we've seen them as a team for so long? Of course, then you bring up the whole Total Divas deal. Are they just going to start flat out saying that everything in the WWE is fake? Of course, they've basically said that, but I mean, they've also sort of built storylines on what is going on in WWE on the show. Basically, is making the show look fake as well. But then, are we going to have the Funkadactyls battling it out as well as the Bellas are battling it out? Are we going to have to see mixed tag matches of the Funkadactyls against the Bellas? That's things that we just don't need to see. But basically, everybody who's on that show is fighting each other. And I think the one thing that is good about Total Divas, once it comes back, is you get to see John Cena and Nikki. You get to see Brie and Daniel Bryan. And if we have where basically the Authority can't get John Cena to play along with what they're doing, and they do get Nikki to turn and come over there, where does that lead for in the life of John Cena and Nikki? Or one of them is taking the Authority's money while the other one is fighting against them. And if you're going to make the Funkadactyls look like they're really fighting it out, how are these two still getting along? So that's my total Divas sort of mix up shit that goes along with this match. But definitely Stephanie for the win. Definitely we're going to see Triple H involved in this match. And definitely it doesn't end here. Maybe look at the Hell in a Cell match too. 2 Diva Hell in a Cell matches on the October pay-per-view. It's main event time, baby. John Cena versus Brock Lesnar. It doesn't get any bigger than this. Of course, you have the previous NCAA Wrestling Champion. You also have the UFC Champion of the past. He's been a WWE Champion. He is the baddest man on the planet. And basically, that is the way Brock Lesnar is being pushed right now. Brock Lesnar, stepped up at WrestleMania. He defeated the streak, the thing that nobody thought was going to be able to be done. If, Batista, if Edge, if Triple H, if Shawn Michaels, if CM Punk wasn't going to be able to do it, why was Brock Lesnar going to be able to do it? But Brock Lesnar was able to find Undertaker at his weakest point. He was able to hit the 3 F5s, and he was able to get the most important 1, 2, 3 in that match. And because of this, he was, put in light by Brock Lesnar by getting in the ear of Triple H. He was to be named the #1 contender. Brock Lesnar was the guy who stepped up to Triple H as he was talking about his plan B being Seth Rollins. And if he wasn't able to get the job done at Money in the Bank, then he needed to call him up and make sure that he was going to be there. When John Cena came out, when Triple H came out to name who the #1 contender was going to be at SummerSlam, Randy Orton came down, followed by him getting beat up by Roman Reigns. I can't really remember what happened to Seth Rollins. Maybe he was getting attacked by Dean Ambrose at the time. But basically, Paul Heyman came out and brought his biggest beast with him, Brock Lesnar, down to the ring for Triple H to look at him with, just glee of, this could happen. If anybody's going to beat John Cena, it's going to be him. I guess you have to throw out in the past the Triple H and John Cena victory from 2012 and 2013 against Brock Lesnar. It seems that, Brock, since beating the streak, it sort of seemed like they've thrown the past out the window. Maybe like, WrestleMania 30 was a new day for him. They're maybe acting like, since he's been gone so long that maybe the fans will forget, what's happened in the past. They treat us like retards sometimes. But, Brock definitely is one guy. If you go back and you watch that Extreme Rules 2012 match, they replayed it on the WWE Network after the after Monday Night Raw this Monday. Hopefully you were able to go over there and check it out. If not, go into the video vault on the WWE Network on demand section. You can check that out as if you don't have a WWE Network, since it's not going to be launching, I think, till after SummerSlam for a good part of the world. And then I read today that UK is not even getting it until, I believe, he said November. But it's on YouTube. You're able to find this match if you want to. It's up there almost anywhere. And it's one for the ages. You should own the DVD. You got to be kidding me. I'm sort of surprised. Brock did get one DVD since returning. It was on Blu-ray as well. They re-released the Beast DVD from back in the day, and they put some new matches on there. I can't remember if the Cena match is on there. I know that the build-up to the Cena match, like a 30-minute sort of sit-down interview with him talking about his past, and he talks about wanting to beat the piss out of John Cena. I know that's on there. So maybe it's on there. Maybe you had to buy the Blu-ray, but you should have that DVD somehow. Extreme Rules, last time I checked, was selling for about $4 on Amazon. So if you don't have a WWE Network, check it out that way. But basically, John's a guy who's not going to back down from a fight. John's, knows that, they've got in the ring before, they've got this done. And even though John, got a, where was he cut up at, man? I know that his lip got busted up in that, fight they had on Monday Night Raw where they had to get pulled apart by the entire roster. But that was one of the matches that, John Cena came in there, and that fight looked real. I mean, like, wrestling doesn't get called real all that often, but, for people to sit back and see that because, Brock Lesnar's fighting and he has, pop appeal, and people wanted to see him make his return to WWE. There's a lot of people that went out of their way the last few times to order shows when Brock Lesnar was on them, when they were fringe wrestling fans, because it was Brock Lesnar and because he was that guy. But for those fringe wrestling fans, like that other stuff might have been fake, but that was real. I mean, that's the one cool thing about having Brock on the roster. They're going to beat the holy hell out of each other. I mean, like, I don't know what you're going to do. I mean, there's people out there who think that Brock Lesnar can't be champion because of the fact he's not going to work a full schedule. We've already gone through this when The Rock had the championship. Basically, he didn't work house shows. He worked Monday Night Raw, here and there. I think he worked almost every other week, sometimes some back-to-back weeks, missing a Raw there. But, his run from Royal Rumble all the way until WrestleMania was great. And if he didn't have the injury, it was rumored if The Rock was going to work Extreme Rules that year as trying to get a rematch, where people thought it might be, what did people think it might be? It was going to be a three-way between, like, Brock, Rock, and Cena, I think is what people said Extreme Rules was going to be. Or maybe it was going to be CM Punk, something like that. But it was going to be a big match regardless of what went down. And then it just, I think Extreme Rules went to hell that year. With no Rock, no Brock, and nothing else. But, I think that Brock can win the championship. It's just a matter of what they want to do with it. Is he going to go to Night of Champions, which he's been booked for, and lose the championship there, and then all is sort of reset in WWE? Maybe he'll drop it to John Cena. Maybe he'll drop it to Roman Reigns. I think those are the only two names out there that have a chance of beating Brock. Or does he hold it all the way until WrestleMania and then fight the Royal Rumble winner? Which, of course, then going into the Royal Rumble, you got to think of who's going to beat Brock. There's only two guys on the roster, John Cena and Roman Reigns. So what story do you want to tell? Who are you even going to have step up to the plate to be contenders against him? Do you want to have Cena versus Lesnar for 5 months in a row in order to get you through? Or are you going to have shows where just the championship isn't going to be contended? Your main event is just going to sort of be some sort of a tag match or some sort of a feud you can put there. Of course, with the WWE Network launching almost year-round by later this year, you're not going to have pay-per-views to worry about. Those numbers that come in, you're just going to have shows that people really care about, that people want to watch, that they're going to pay $9.99 a month or $20, $9.99 if you want to buy the commitment and $20 if you want to buy the whole deal. But to me, this is, good God, I mean, they said 41 times on Monday Night Raw, $9.99, WWE Network, what a bargain, it's better than Netflix. You guys heard it, you're sick to death of it, but this match, live, on TV, hell, even if it's not live, let's say you get off of work, 9 o'clock at night, it's after the show, you get home, you're able to stay off your phone, you don't look at Twitter, you don't look at Facebook, you don't know nothing's going down. Even if you're like, I only want to see this one match, you're going to tell me this one match to watch, on TV, whenever you want to, for $9.99 isn't going to be worth it. You're high. You're stoned. I don't know what's going down. You're drinking the Hunch Punch. But I'm speechless. $9.99 a month. You get to watch SummerSlam. I love saying that it's for free. I pay $9.99 to watch the on-demand shit. I've watched like 10 SummerSlams this month. I watched WrestleMania Recall today, or Rewind, whatever it's called. Triple H versus Undertaker, one of my favorite matches of all time. I got to use my little handy-dandy remote. I didn't have to basically work the gimmick of getting up, putting a DVD in, and sitting back down every 15, 20 minutes after a match ended. I got to watch the best stuff in the world. So, I don't know. WWE Network works for me. It's going strong. I'm hoping that more than likely we're going to get some sort of a tag match. I'm not sure if it's going to be like Stardust and Goldust going up against the Usos, if it's going to be the Usos against Ryback. Wouldn't be surprised if Fandango's in some sort of a pre-show match. Maybe we'll get Bo Dallas added against R-Truth, getting down and funky with the streak, and we'll go from there. But John Cena versus Brock Lesnar, I'm going to pick Lesnar for the win because I think that's the easiest bet. But John, I got your back, boy, right here. Hustle, loyalty, and respect. Yeah, Cena, baby. Put the fight up. We'll see what happens from here. Next year, please don't make movies during August. Please be here. Even if the guy you're going to be fighting isn't going to be here. Your little videos saying about how hard you're training and how much this match means to me, it was cool. But if this was a pay-per-view, it'd be hurting, baby. It'd be hurting. WWE Network, $9.99 a month. I'll tell you one more time. WWE Network, $9.99 a month. I guarantee you it's going to be one of the best bargains you can do for. I canceled my cable, basically because of the WWE Network, and I think it's one of the best things going out there. Netflix, Hulu, WWE Network. What else do you need? There you go. Boom. It's the new hustle, loyalty, and respect. Netflix, WWE Network, Hulu. Peace out.